I got Lucas McGill here. Tommy Lepore here from Blue Springs South. Brett Norfleet. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. And we got a little Beethoven rolling there.
Entry music. I like it.
Exactly. Game7Baseball.com. Go get your teams registered. We're in our winter workout tour, checking out some of the youth baseball around the area. Hopefully, one of our goals, and not this Saturday, but the coming Saturdays, is to get down to Springfield, check out some clubs down there, Coach. So may even see you down there on our tour stops. So, Game7Baseball.com. Today, folks, we got a treat for you here. We're talking with Scott McGee, head coach at Willard High School, Willard, Missouri. I love the. We'll let him get to the office. He's at school, so we may have some of these. It's okay, Coach. Don't sweat it. We understand. We appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us. But I love getting down into the Southwest there, getting to learn more about baseball around the state. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I've watched a lot of your guys' stuff, and you guys just do, not just Kevin, but you guys, with your podcasts, and you guys do so many good things for things around the players around the state. Appreciate
that. And, of course, today we're joined by the guru. That's what makes the show roll right there, man. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
He's rolling around, man, checking everybody. I mean, you've had some dudes. Your scout days, I mean, they're filled. You've got some really big scout days working. How's it going there, bud?
It's going great. I enjoy the month of February, and really it's the last couple of weeks of January now, and the month of February. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun because Coach knows this well, and we'll get into this, but kids change so much, usually for the better, with a good off season of weight training and skill instruction. So I'm on the front edge of seeing some of these results from what they used to look like last summer or maybe even the fall to what they've developed into now. And you'll see it on social media every now and again. We'll put up a guy and, he'll have hit a PR or something. And it's fun to see. And it's also, you gain a lot of knowledge getting to see all the kids across the state. So there's a ton of talent in the state this year, Coach. I can assure you of that. I'm sure you know that, though.
Yes, there is.
And speaking of talent, Coach McGee has been in the Final Four the last 2 years. Speaking of which, Kevin and I have been down there the last couple of years. We've watched Willard win a title in 2021, finished, I believe, third last year, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
In the Final Four, and have played some really good baseball. Can you tell us a little bit how those experiences have been? I mean, that's tough to get to one, let alone back to back, right? And as we were saying before, you guys were there in 2019.
Yeah, we were. We've been to 5 in the last 10 years. It's been every experience is just awesome, And we went in 2012 for the first time, and it was, as a coaching staff, it's kind of like almost overwhelming. And then 2013, we ran into CBC, and they had Jake Berger and Matt Vierling and a whole host of other guys that were every bit as good. And so to make it back in 19, 21, and 22 has been awesome. The crowd support down here in 21 and 22, the way it's been ran, we really enjoy. I think there's some things that could change with our state playoff series, but the Final Four part of this is really, really good. And I got a chance this past year to go to a lot of the lower class games as well. So I got to see, class 1, 2. I got to see class 4 and class 6. It's really well done, and it's a great thing for high school baseball in our state.
Hey, Coach. One thing, it's pretty clear, but certainly it's been noticed. You see a team rise up and make the Final Four or even win a state championship, and a lot of times you can attribute that to, hey, they had a bunch of really good players and they rode the talent. With what you guys have done over the last decade or so, it's clearly, you have to have the horses, you have to have good players. Obviously, everyone knows that, but it's not. It's more about the program and the culture you guys have created down there. Talk to us about what has made you guys develop into a championship culture. How are you guys doing this? I view like you guys as one of the heavy hitters in the state. There's a couple others around the state, but you guys have a remarkable amount of consistency, which is really impressive for a high school program.
Yeah, thank you. We're a one high school town that really helps us. And so we actually start with, we've got a T-ball organization, kind of helps us figure out who our youth coaches are going to be starting at age 6, and they come up through our program. Our almost all of the Willard kids growing up play for Willard, and so we're a smaller town with a Class 5 school because we do pull quite a bit from Springfield, and then guys get into our program, and what I think probably sets us apart is how many of our older guys come back. Number one, almost all my assistants are former players here, but even our guys who graduate and go on to play college baseball, they will maintain friendships with guys that are still in high school, and it just becomes a real baseball community. And so they hold each other accountable. They hear stories. Hey, I heard you did this. This wasn't a good decision. They reach out to those guys, and just being able to build that sort of community in a one high school town. You have some other really good programs, but a lot of them don't even necessarily know who their players are until they're freshmen. And we get an opportunity, like we know who our good 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders are. We build those relationships right away. So it really kind of helps that everyone's kind of sold out to do well. Spring baseball at our school is a really big deal from the families, from the kids themselves, and from our past players as well.
I think it's interesting. As you talk about building that culture and that community, you have a singular message starting at 6 years old. That's pretty impressive. And there isn't a coach out there that doesn't look to do that and to build that culture within their program. But most schools are doing it at, freshman level. That's where they're usually starting. But I think go ahead and give a shout out to some of these coaches. I always love to get the names of of the guys that are working with you.
So my main assistant's Trevor Bowling. He coached in the Final Four at Walnut Grove back-to-back years, a couple years back. He had a good college career at Southwest Baptist. Keaton Presley, who played at Central Arkansas back about 5 years ago, he was the head coach at Miller. They're both my 2 main assistants. Jacob Scott, who played for me, is our freshman coach. And then we've got some other former college athletes. Bryce Wilson and Steve Vaughn help us out. And then I get a lot of former players to coach our junior high teams. And so they kind of know all of our system. We run practice at the junior high level at the exact same way we do at the high school level. And so when guys show up as a freshman, there's not really a learning curve. They already know how we do everything. And so that really helps. But, I think we probably have the best assistant coaching staff in the state. Trevor Bowling and Keaton Presley could be head coaches at about any Class 5 or 6 school in this state, and they would improve the program. They're really, really high-level coaches. And I'm fortunate that they haven't left yet, but I'm sure they will pretty soon.
At some point, you want to see guys succeed, right?
Yes, you do. You want them to. One of the reasons that we have been good is we've been better and we've been able to compete and win a state title is Southwest Missouri baseball has improved over the last 10 years. You go back to 2012 and 13, we make it to the Final Four, and you get up there and you're like, man, we don't belong here. We didn't belong on the field with CBC. I mean, they beat us. We stayed in the game. I mean, we executed baseball well enough to lose 5-3, but we weren't nearly in their level. And as your area improves, it makes your team improve, and it gives you a chance statewide. There was a long time where St. Louis dominated the 2 largest classes, and they still are really good. But some of the other schools, Liberty North, some of these schools have a chance now that maybe 10 years ago did not. And so that's you want your whole area to be good. And then obviously I'm pretty loyal to Trevor and Keaton, and they deserve chances to run a big program.
We're going to take a look at this real quick, Coach. I was looking at your schedule coming up. I mean, don't challenge your kids or nothing like that, you know. I mean, I love when I see a schedule, and I want to ask you because I don't know this. Kevin might, but I don't. Do you guys you play in a conference down there, correct?
Yes.
What is the conference?
The Central Ozarks Conference, and there's 10 of us. So Nixa, Ozark, Republic, us, and Branson are here from the Springfield area, and then 5 schools from out west. So the Joplin, Webb City area as the rest of our conference. So that gives us 9 conference games. Then we got to find 27 others, and I try to find as many good programs as we can have. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many games we lost in the year we won the state title, but I think it was 10 or 11. We want to play as many. Regular season losses really don't matter to me. You have to learn how to win against good people, and sometimes that means you're out talented a bit. You know, we played Francis Howell last spring and got down and kind of rolled over a little bit, and it was a real growth moment for our team. And we're going to play them again on April 15th this year in the Columbia tournament, and it'll be good to see if we can't go up there and perform a little bit better, because I've got a ton of respect for Tony Perkins. I know you guys work with him quite a bit as well, and he just does a tremendous job with his program.
I really love that Columbia tournament, Coach. Not that it, you can make a strong argument it's the best tournament. There's a lot of really good tournaments in our state, but what I love about it is, you sit here as a fan or an observer of Missouri high school baseball, and there's always the conversation, hey, this team appears to be the best team in the Kansas City area. This team appears to be one of the top in the St. Louis. This team's doing the best in the southwest portion. This team's the best in the central. The great thing about the Columbia tournament is we get to find out. We roll them out, and it is a mid-season or early season check. And, I do see one common theme among the top teams in the state. They're not scared to challenge their kids, and they're not scared to take a loss. Or maybe another way to phrase that would be they're not necessarily worried about the regular season record. If they lose a couple games along the way, they know they're going to be sharper and tougher come postseason play. Is that kind of the philosophy with the scheduling?
Yes, it is. And I think it takes a group of kids and parents that understand that's what the goal is. I think too often we want to feel good about ourselves until we get to districts, and then we realize we're not prepared for this. And so I think we want to play as many good people as you can. You look at Division I baseball, the last 2 teams that won the national title, I mean, they both had several losses, so 15-plus losses in Division I baseball. And, they weren't afraid to go play outside of conference and play good teams. And it makes you more battle-tested, and it gets your players ready. And, hey, if you want to play college baseball, which a lot of our guys do, you're not getting any better beating teams 13-0. You need to be challenged. You need to face the big-time dudes in our state.
You need to see those arms, and you're going to see those arms in Columbia, and that's the thing.
Sure.
One of the things that is interesting to me about these, and Kevin talks about this, we talk about depth a lot, especially at pitching. In high school, you may have a guy that is in that upper 80s, maybe touching 90 and whatnot, and then there's the next level. But, the depth at pitching and being able to go through a tournament, is this where you challenge your younger guys? Do you bring some arms up in some of these situations to see where they're at in their progression?
Yes, I think it's a huge moment for them. We kind of operate with the idea that we have 7 varsity pitchers typically. That's 7 guys will throw at least 15 innings for us. We play 36 games, which is the most the state allows. And so most weeks we're playing 6 or 7 games. So we use 7 varsity pitchers extensively. But in like that Columbia tournament, we have a conference game on Thursday night, and then we'll play 5 games over 2 days. So for those 6 games, you're probably talking about using about 10 pitchers in some form or fashion. And it's a really good testament for those guys. They're working hard in the offseason for those opportunities to get to pitch. It may be a freshman or sophomore that gets to move up, and is going to throw a big role for you the next year. And so I think that's what I really like about the grind. I think it's really hard on your catchers. I don't know about other programs, but we have a catcher who is phenomenal, and then we don't ever want to take him off the field, but we can't catch him 6 games in 3 days. So that's a lot of wear and tear on somebody. So we try to limit him to 4 of those 6 games, and it's still tough.
I love it because you have to be a little kooky to play catcher. I always believe that.
Yes,
No
you do.
offense to the catchers, but I just
Yes, you do.
those guys are tough. Kevin, let's get into this a little bit. Coach, we're going to talk a little bit about your upcoming season, pitching. Since we're leading off here, pitching depth. You guys, the last couple of years, I've seen you in just a little bit. You've got guys on the mound that throw strikes. They compete hard. They've got, stuff. Who are the guys that are stepping up for you this year? Where are you leading off, and where's that taking you, Coach?
We're probably returning our number one pitcher in Cooper Wilkin. He's a senior. He went 10-0 last year. He's going to Evangel down here in Springfield. He's a 5'8" right-handed guy, 68 Ks, 11 walks. He's just a great command guy. He's only 82, 83, but he's got a good breaking ball and just gets people out, knows how to pitch. Our number two is Chris Massey. He's going to Central Missouri, and will be. He kind of fits in that Central Missouri mode. Like you watch him, and he's almost unhittable. His slider is phenomenal. He's a lefty. He's an undersized lefty, but he's 86 to 88. His stuff just jumps. He'll battle bouts of wildness, but nobody squares him up. I mean, it's hard to even catch him, let alone hit him. And so those are our top two guys. From there, we've got a lot of junior arms who are going to be really good. Hayden Larson and Russell Roten both returned for us as juniors. Colin Spearing is a sophomore. He plays with the Adidas A's in the summer. And we've got just a group of guys there that's pretty deep behind those top two. But Wilkin and Massey would be our two guys that are going to throw most of our conference games and our biggest games in the postseason, most likely.
Kevin, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, getting an opportunity to see you guys play at the Columbia tournament, and then also in the state championships or Final Four over the past couple of years. It is clear your guys have a feel for the game and a feel for pitching. Not always, the draft type arm that you might see at, like I think about Carson Milbrand and Liberty winning the state championship, and you're like, holy smokes, this. But you got guys that pound the zone, throw any pitch and any count, and also, it's clear as day they compete their tails off, and that is an excellent recipe for being successful.
Yeah. I think you spoke to it perfectly. The competitiveness. Sometimes you just have to want to execute the pitch with full conviction, and you don't care about some of the other things. I'm really big on velocity. We train velocity a ton, but when you're up there on that mound, hitting a spot at 83 is really important, and you can get most high school hitters out if you do that. Now, if that's your whole MO, your top side is limited, and that's where you've got to improve your velocity. But I think the ability to compete. Dalen Stewart, who's at Jeffco now, he pitched us to our 2021 state title. That dude was the ultimate competitor. He's going to Missouri State next year, and he just wanted to pitch more than anybody else wanted to hit. That's a weird way to say it, but he would do everything he could to get outs.
That's a perfect example, Coach. I was honestly just about to bring him up. Sometimes kids develop differently. Some guys are fully grown and men as freshmen, and they're shaving, and they're, as a coach, you're going to try to get them better, but you also in the back of your mind know that, like, all right, physically he's about there. And then there's other kids that, are going to continue getting bigger and stronger well into their low 20s. And, Dalen, as I recall, wasn't a very hard thrower in high school. And then his velocity, he could flat pitch and was one of the best pitchers in the state. And then his velocity pops probably due to physical development, at Jeffco, and now he's, found a great landing spot at Missouri State. So it's just everyone's path is a little bit different. But if you teach kids how to pitch and get outs when they do pop, then you're going to, have a Division I or a pro guy or a high-end, D2 guy, et cetera.
You can take that guy that throws 95, and he's always going to get opportunities, but he's got to do something with them. You want to be the guy that if he does get, if Dalen throws 93, he's going to probably get some pro ball opportunities as a lefty with his curveball, and he's going to already have the ability to pitch. So now his focus can be, I have to get stronger, I have to get more mobile, I have to increase my velocity. He already knows how to pitch, and there's a multiple ways to go about it. But we've been able to get guys that know how to pitch, and then I think hopefully they can get outs at the level after high school. So.
With your junior high squads, with the coaches, how often do you talk to them about identifying kids that have that ability, that are growing in that, understand pitching? Do you look to identify those kids as early as possible?
Yes, we do. We look for tools, just like a college would look for tools, or a pro ball guy would look for tools. We look for tools in our middle school. We'll look for that guy that weighs 105, but he's got good arm speed. And as an eighth grader, he's throwing 63 while weighing 105. You're like, hey, that guy's got a shot. Massey, who's our guy going to Central Missouri. I mean, as an eighth grader, he threw 59 miles an hour. 59 as an eighth grader at a lot of places, you're like, that's a future cut. That's a guy that's probably not going to make your freshman team. But we saw some arm speed there, and hey, he's put in a ton of work to get really good, and he's going to go to Central Missouri, and I think he'll pitch out of their bullpen as a freshman, just from kind of what they've indicated to him. And so it's somebody who just kind of grows. But you got to identify those guys. And don't give up on baseball players, man. In football and basketball, guys, you see a really good seventh grader, that guy's probably going to be a really good varsity player. Baseball, it's not that way. You find some dudes who can't play a lick in seventh and eighth grade. They end up being really, really good. And just don't give up on it.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about defense. I say this at this portion of the show with all the coaches because I just enjoy it. I think it's fun. I believe in pitching and defense. If it was good enough for Tommy Lasorda, it's good enough for me, and then we hit a couple bombs and we go home, right? So defense it is. You're up the middle. You say you got that one catcher, so we kind of know the dude is there. And so good luck, young man. Make sure those legs are strong. What's his name, by the way? Who's your catcher?
That is Kaiden McMain. He actually had the walk-off single in the state title game as a sophomore. He is going to Missouri Southern down here in Joplin, good D2 program, and a really, really good athlete. Like one of those guys that a lot of places might move him to a different position because of how athletic he is. But he is so tough physically. I love his ability to block pitches. I mean, if you're going to train stuff a lot as a pitching staff, you better have an athlete behind the plate who can move and block pitches in the dirt. And he does all of those things. And he's either the fastest or second fastest kid in our high school. He played running back in football as well. And it kind of starts with him. The key to good defense is strike dudes out. Like, you can't make errors on strikeouts. But if you're going to get strikeouts, you better have a catcher who can get things, who can block balls, who can maneuver behind the plate and do his job. And Kaiden does a great job at that.
Kevin, you're seeing this a lot, and we were out at the event at the Sports Barn. I'm seeing these catchers really working on athleticism. You're seeing a lot of really athletic catchers, guys with speed behind the dish, right?
Yeah, no, Coach had brought up a great point, but yeah, there's a lot of different types of catchers. We look at a kid that was, one of the top catchers in our state, Xander Schmidt, who's going to Kansas, was Future Games MVP. That kid runs a 6'6", and he also plays outfield on days he's not catching because Coach alluded to it. You're probably best not to catch your guy every single game if you want to have him at the end. So you got to be able to find another spot for him, whether it's DH or first base. But, I mean, my goodness, if you got a great athlete and you can throw him in the outfield as well, all the better, and creates an opportunity for maybe one of your guys that's not as athletic that you want to slide his bat in, and then you got the DH spot there. So that's versatility can be a beautiful thing. And I always tell this to kids when I get the opportunity. You might be the second best shortstop in the country or the second best catcher in the entire country. If the number one catcher moves in to your school district or the number one shortstop moves in, you better be able to find another position to play. And more realistically, you might be the high school shortstop. You might be the high school starting catcher. When you go to your 4-year, you're going to have to beat out a senior or find another opportunity. Or you look at the big leagues, it's filled with that. You look at the Cardinals and a guy like Brendan Donovan or Tommy Edman, those guys bounced around before they found, a home and a position. And that's versatility is a beautiful thing, especially as you keep ascending the ladder. I'm sure Coach has freshmen or sophomores that he really likes that they might have to not play their natural position or what they think is their natural position to be able to earn a spot in his lineup the first year or so, would be my guess.
Yeah, that definitely happens. And we've even had guys that as seniors are still playing not their best position that then go on to college and are playing what they think was their best position. It's just the way it makes it fit in. As you just said, versatility reigns supreme.
Coach, with that in mind, we always talk about, the next thing, you got center field, you got shortstop, second base. These are the, that, especially at shortstop position, the anchors of your defense. Who are the guys? You got guys coming back, or you got guys going to be filling those roles this year?
Luckily, we have guys coming back. We'll return our whole infield. So Landon Moore is a junior shortstop, really good defender, broke our school record for assists. Was our leadoff hitter. I think he drew 41 walks and just struck out 17 times. He's a good player. Probably going to be a junior college type guy at a good JUCO after his senior year. He's a junior this year. We have a sophomore. Just to speak to your thing about versatility, we have a sophomore named Matthew Angel who's going to be a shortstop probably in college, but he's one grade behind a kid who right now is a better shortstop. So we're bouncing him around, and he's going to play some in the outfield this spring. He may get some DH opportunities because he's a good left-handed hitter. Then down the road is probably going to be our shortstop in 2 years, and so those two will man that spot. But I think up the middle, you've got to be really good at short and second. I think in high school baseball, you have to be really good at third base. The amounts of bunting and tag plays on throws from catcher to third base on steals of third, those kind of things. Those things really matter. If I'm going to hide guys, I'll hide them in left and right, and tell our pitchers to not give up balls off the barrel. But I think you've got to be really good at short, second, and third.
Kevin?
Yeah, no, amen to that. And that's, a recipe, obviously, for winning baseball. You can throw strikes and field the ball in the infield. You're liable to have a really nice team because you can create some offense a variety of different ways. It's great to have guys that can bang it around and hit doubles and the occasional homer, but there are ways to manufacture runs, especially, not in the big leagues. So,
yeah. Offensively, Coach, you guys score runs. Speak to we see a lot of small ball in, Coach Perkins. We talk about it. You see his guys 3, 4, and 5 bunting at times. I've seen, Brett Norfleet square around and bunt, and he, his OPS I think was some absurd 14 or 1500 last year with 9 home runs. And here's this kid turning around bunting. There aren't too many coaches that would take that kid and say, bunt, right? How do you approach your offensive philosophy in that respect?
I think in an ideal world, we're trying to do whatever the defense doesn't expect us to do. I think if it's a bunt situation and you can slash or hit and run or swing away or steal, it really helps you. If it's a situation where Norfleet's up and it's first and second, nobody out, and Perkins has some dudes hitting behind Norfleet because those dudes barreled us up last year. Getting them over to second and third with nobody out, and hey, Norfleet can run. He might beat it out. You got the bases loaded, and the game just starts spinning out of control. I think being versatile in offense, you've got to be able to do a little bit of everything. You don't want 9 of the same hitters in your lineup. We want some guys with power. But if we got 9 guys who stand up there and try to hit the ball off the fence every swing, we're going to be really easy to pitch to on certain days with certain types of arms. So being versatile on offense is so important. And you talk to college coaches. Coach Mulder coached at the college level. If you just got 9 of the same dudes up there at the plate, the scouting report gets pretty easy. And it's we want 9 dudes who are different, who can do different things and bring those things to the lineup.
And that is obviously makes for a great offense. Now, we've talked about how you have the consistent program and you guys can play a variety of different ways. With all that being said, you do have some star power in that program, certainly. Um, Talk to us about Owen Bushnell, Clayton Kaiser. You mentioned Landon Moore. You got some heavy hitters in there. I mean, you got a high school kid with 7 homers. That's not anything to sneeze at right there.
No, Owen Bushnell, who's also started in football, he had 7 homers and 14 doubles last year. He's a senior outfielder. He is going to Missouri Southern as well to play right field down there. Clayton Kaiser is going to Drury. 6'3", left-handed hitter, physical, has had a great offseason. His bat-to-ball skills have really improved. I won't be surprised if he doesn't hit 450 this spring and can just hit the ball to all fields. He's a left fielder going to Drury. We're going to be excited about him. We mentioned Kyden already. We actually have a first baseman named Cooper Hampton who battled some injuries last year. He's probably not going to play college baseball because he's such a high academic kid. He's looking at some Ivy League schools as a student, but he's another big-time hitter. And then the guy that's probably our most underrated guy is Kyle Beeman, our center fielder. He just committed to College of the Ozarks. He'll sign with that in a couple weeks. Kyle hit 4 home runs. He's our best defensive outfielder. He swings the bat well. He doesn't draw many walks, but he in a lineup that has so many patient hitters, guys like Beeman and Kaiser who get up there looking to attack can really help you as well. So just to speak to that versatility, but I think those guys, our top 6 spots in our lineup are going to be really tough, and the bottom of order returns, so it's not like they're bad. It's just we were talking about guys hitting at the college level and stuff. The other guy that we haven't gotten to see much this winter because he's our best basketball player, but Drew Quinlan, our second baseman, has really started to develop physically, and I won't be surprised if he doesn't have quite a bit of power at the bottom of our order.
I think go ahead,
One
Kevin.
quick question, because I've noticed this about you guys more so than other programs, it seems to me. And it must be a conscious effort, or at least I think it is. Maybe it's just been extremely fortunate to have some good young players. Seems like you always are able to work in some young guys into maybe not your star, but like as you give them a role, whether it's the pinch runner or a pinch hitter. I've seen you bring off freshmen off the bat off the bench to pinch hit in the Final Four. I remember Rakeshaw, I think, doing that.
Yep.
Who are some of the young guys? I know you had some freshmen on the roster last year. Who are some of the young guys to kind of keep an eye on? And, if you're not comfortable singling them out, I understand. But it seems like you always seem to work those young guys in some sort of capacity.
Yeah, I think when you can find a role that somebody does really well. So Rakestraw, we knew as a freshman could hit fastballs. So we got him into a situation where, hey, this guy can hit fastballs. We knew that we were going to get fastballs in that situation. He came through with a huge hit for us. So I try to look for ways for young guys to do that. We do have a big-time freshman. His name's Levi Hilton. He has not done the showcase circuit yet, but that'll be coming soon. I'm sure he's going to be at some PBR stuff this coming fall for you, Kevin. But Levi Hilton he's actually got the highest bat speed and exit velocities in our program. He's a right-handed hitter, physical freshman outfielder. He's going to be a really good one. He's been up to 84 on the mound as well, and I think he's a Division I type prospect. And I won't be surprised if by the end of the year he doesn't have a role. We also have just a little scrappy kid. I don't know if you guys remember Blake Holtgren, who was our leadoff hitter 2 years ago. He plays down at C of O now. And I've got like a mirror image of him is a freshman named Cade Hyder, who's a switch hitter and probably going to be a little better offensively than Holtgren. But just that dirtbag grinder, takes your walks, slaps singles through the field, and plays as hard as you possibly can play. I won't be surprised if by the end of the year those two don't have a role as freshmen this year, even on a veteran team.
Wow. That's impressive. I love to hear that stuff, and I think that speaks to the development of your program. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about these types of conversations, because we talk to a lot of coaches, and I know there's always coaches looking at thought processes of how do we get better as a program, and especially, I mean, you're a Class 5 school, but you're not I think you're in that mid range, right? You're not one of the bigger ones. You're not one of the small ones, and so you still deal with the fact of how many kids do you have normally coming out for your program, Coach?
Well, like last year for freshman baseball, we had 14. We kept all 14 of them. I talk. It's funny because I talked to Wilson at Staley, and I'm good friends with John Meyer at Marquette. And those guys that are like, oh, tryouts is a big deal. Like, it's not as big of a deal down here. if you come out, we're going to try to find you something. We will have to make some cuts this year, but honestly, most years we don't really have to. Because like you said, it's a small town. The guys who are playing in third grade, those 14 guys are pretty much your 14 guys still playing as freshmen. So you got to be able to keep those guys engaged and work with them.
I think that to me is key to, and we've talked to a lot of the GAC North coaches this year, and they'll be coming up and talking with Phil Kendall over at Orchard Farm. You're talking about Class 4 as well. So, you're dealing with 35 to 40 guys in your entire program. It takes a matter of development. How do you identify the kids that are coming to your school? I think it's maybe a little more difficult in a bigger setting as we have up here, but it's still the same process. And I think that's a testament to what you guys are doing down there.
Yeah, thank you. I do think it's a little bit tougher probably to do this in St. Louis. I mean, there's advantages to everywhere, and there's disadvantages everywhere, and we play into that advantage. We know our third graders, we know our fifth graders. We can identify that our best seventh grader may not be able to stick at that position in high school, so we need to go ahead and start working in some other spots. Like that stuff really helps when you're in a one school town that's not super big. I think it's even harder to do like at a Class 6 school like a Nixa or an Ozark that's got another 700 students on us. It's harder to identify some of that.
Yeah. I thought it was great. Kevin and I, we remarked, when we saw the first year, there was flags everywhere. You had fans. We were interviewing the kids wearing their shirts, the young kids. That was what was great. I would play for Willard. Got the ice cream cone. It's baseball. This is great. We don't even know if it's cool. Yeah, we don't care it's a state championship. They might have been told that, but we got ice cream and wearing my baseball shirt.
Yeah.
It's fun, man. It's fun. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on the program and giving us a shot at your program there. I'd love to have you on as much as possible. Love talking baseball with the coaches, the high school coaches. It's a lot of fun that way.
Okay, thank you. Hey, if you guys get a chance to watch some of these other teams, I don't know if you've seen Rogersville, Class 4 down here. They were in the Final Four. They're going to be big time. There's some good baseball down here. So I saw you sit up in your seat. You've seen some of these guys, haven't you?
Yeah, no, Rogersville's loaded. Yeah, there's some great baseball, and like you said, you kind of rise to your level, and it has certainly been noticed. There's some heavy hitters in that part of the state, and I'm sure that bodes well for your program, just because you take a night off and you're going to get exposed, right? So it's a good thing for everyone.
We just talked to Coach Brian Ash, and he's coming on the show. We'll have that podcast up. I'm looking forward. I think Southern Boone's going to be right there again, so you might have that clash again between Logan Rogersville and Southern Boone again. I think that's a real possibility in that Class 4. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it. So and you're right, Coach. Kevin just kind of went, oh yeah. I got to do this though, because our buddies over at Prime Sports Midwest, they're helping us with a giveaway. So if you're new to the show here, please subscribe. This is a great opportunity. We get to talk to guys like this, Kevin Mulder, Scott McGee, coming on the show, dropping some knowledge, helping us with learning about baseball in our state. I love it. It's a great time. So if we got a whole package. We got the base, we got the fungo too, guys. So you got the fungo. And back over here with this, this is a giveaway for just subscribing, but there's one other thing, and I'll get to it. I got a Marucci hitting net back here. So we got baseballs in the bucket, a fungo, and a portable hitting net back here, Marucci hitting net, to give away to a subscriber. When you subscribe, you got to throw in the comment, we love Prime Sports Midwest. We got to give a little shout out to those guys over there. They do a great job with uniforms locally owned up here. If you're looking for some gear, whatever the case may be, go check out Prime Sports Midwest, primesportsmw.com, and subscribe while you're here. Throw that in the comment. We love Prime Sports Midwest, and you get an opportunity to win this great stuff. So there you go. It's fun. It's baseball, right? Look at that. That's pretty cool. Guys, appreciate it. Coach, Scott McGee, everybody. Coach, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your squad down there.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for all you guys do.
Absolutely. Kevin, always a pleasure. Where are you headed to, man?
Well, we got a strong stretch here to finish up the next week and a half. So a lot of events, and then I sorted out for 3 weeks, and then the fun starts. I get to go out and watch high school games starting third week of March. So can't wait for that.
Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you stopping by. Everybody, remember, all you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. And hitters, Coach, you got some advice for the hitters?
Yeah, hit the ball as hard as you can through the middle of the field.
There you go. I love that one. That's a new one. I love it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all next time.